So, before we proceed to Mendel's law of inheritance, first let's see something about Mendel and why Mendel is known as father of genetics. So, Mendel was born on 22nd July 1822 in Austria. He did his higher studies in physics, mathematics, and natural sciences. In 1856, he started his famous experiment on garden pea, and in 1865, he represented his paper Experiments in Plant Hybridization at Natural History Society of Brunn. But unfortunately, his work remained unnoticed at that time. Later, in 1900, three scientists, that is, Hugo de Vries, Karl Correns, and Erich Schermak, rediscovered his finding independently. Based on Mendel's principles, Correns postulated three laws that are known as Mendel's Law of Inheritance. This opened a new field in biological science known as genetics, and Mendel is known as father of genetics. Now, let's see Mendel's law of inheritance. Mendel's first law is law of dominance, which says in a cross between two organisms pure for any pair of contrasting character, the character which appear in first generation is called dominant and the one which is suppressed is called recessive. In this cross, recessive allele will always be masked by dominant allele. Therefore, a cross between a homozygous dominant and a homozygous recessive will always express the dominant phenotype. Thus, there is always uniform expression in F1 generation. Law of dominance can be explained with the help of monohybrid cross experiments. So, let's see this monohybrid cross experiment. What is the monohybrid cross? It is a cross between two pure parents differing in a single pair of contrasting character. So, let's see this monohybrid cross experiment. Mendel first selected some pure tall pea plant and pure dwarf pea plant and then crossed them. After crossing, he found that all the plant in F1 generation were tall. He started thinking, where the dwarfness has gone. Then he allowed natural selfing of all F1 hybrid, and he found that dwarfness reappeared in some plants. He got result that is all tall in F1 generation and tall and dwarf in F2 generation in the ratio of 3:1. Then he concluded that only dominant character expressed in F1 generation and not recessive character. Curly hair in humans is also a good example of dominance over straight hair. The law of dominance is significant and true, but not universally applicable. You know why? Because there are many cases where the dominance is not complete or absent and it shows intermediate expression in F1 generation. This is called incomplete dominance. For example, in 4 o'clock plant, when red flower is crossed with white flower, it shows pink color in F1 generation. That's why this law is significant and true, but not universally applicable. Okay, can you tell me one more example of this incomplete dominance or codominance? If yes, then write in the comment box. Now come to the topic. He concluded that in the F1 generation, factors do not mix with each other, but they remain together, and during gamete formation, these factors separate or segregate. This is the second law of inheritance, that is, law of segregation. So let's see the law of segregation. Law of segregation or second law of inheritance says the allelic pair in a hybrid segregate or separate during the gamete formation, and that during the formation of new gametes it receives only one of the two factors and are pure for a given trait. Therefore, this is also known as law of purity of gametes. This law also can be explained with the help of monohybrid cross. So, take the same example of cross between tall and dwarf pea plant. In this, the reappearance of recessive trait in F2 generation proves the law. All sexually reproducing organisms are diploid and gametes are haploid. This law is applicable for all organisms. Therefore, law of segregation is universally applicable. Mendel's third law of inheritance is based on dihybrid cross. So, first let's see what is dihybrid cross. Dihybrid cross is a cross between two pure parents differing in two pairs of contrasting character. So, let's see the Mendel's third law, that is law of independent assortment. Mendel's third law states that the alleles of two or more different genes get sorted into gametes independently of one another. In other words, when a dihybrid forms gamete, assortment of alleles of different trait is independent of their original combination in the parents. Now, let's see dihybrid cross experiment performed by Mendel. First, Mendel selected a variety of pea plant having yellow and round seeds and another variety having green and wrinkled seeds. He performed artificial cross and found that all seeds of F1 generation were yellow and round. He then allowed selfing of F1 generation plants, and surprisingly, he found that seeds were of four types, that is yellow round, yellow wrinkled, green round and green wrinkled, in the ratio of 9:3:3:1. Out of four types, two were parental combination and two were new. The appearance of these new combination in F2 generation proves the law of independent assortment.